We're following several big stories right now. The years-long battle between Rick Pitino and U of L is over. The reason the former coach walked away without a penny.
A really big problem with Kentucky's Real ID. Without the license, you won't be able to fly or get on a military base without a passport. Today, WDRB learned that the state wants to scrap the entire plan, what it wants to do instead with a tight deadline looming.
And a Louisville legend has died. Look at the legacy Humana founder David on this community.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Chris Suter.
I'm Valerie Chin. We begin our big news day today with a WDRB exclusive. Kentucky is stopping the rollout of Real ID and starting from scratch to distribute the new IDs.
The pilot program now is only in place in 2 counties, but circuit court clerks there are already overwhelmed. Only WDRB obtained a memo that shows the Transportation Cabinet wants to create regional locations to handle Real IDs. Kentucky has only 1 year left to comply with the federal mandate, which was issued 14 years ago. Starting next October, people without a Real ID will have to have a passport to fly in the U.S. or enter military posts. Reporter Marcus Green broke this story late this morning. You can read his story right now on WDRB.com.
The legal battle between University of Louisville and Rick Pitino is finally over. The two just reached a settlement this morning.
WDRB's Lexi Ratterman explains there's no money involved in the deal. Lexi.
Yeah, that's right, Valerie and Chris. The U of L Athletic Association has been in a long-time battle with Rick Pitino after he was fired 2 years ago amid FBI investigations into his basketball team's scandals. Today, though, they have reached a settlement to say that Pitino's personnel file will now say he resigned as opposed to being fired. Pitino sued the university for about $44 million, which was the remainder of his contract. But with this settlement, absolutely no money will be exchanged. Pitino's suit claimed the school was wrong to use the Sex for Recruits scandal as a reason for firing him because he was found to not have played a role in that. The long-time back-and-forth negotiations have finally come to an end, and athletic director Vince Tyree says he's ready to move on.
You know, Rick accomplished a lot here as head coach, and our record books do show that. And although there be asterisks there at times, he's done quite a bit. So I don't know if our hands are ready. You know, I think his note on a release, a lot was accomplished under his realm as well.
WDRB Sports' Eric Crawford now joins us to break this down. It's been a long time coming, and today it is finally over for now. I don't think anything else will come of this, do you?
No, University and Pitino have both agreed not to take any further legal action against each other as part of this settlement. It's a very abrupt end, a very surprising end, where you just see both sides walk away and no money change hands, but I think it speaks to how much Rick Pitino wants to move on and get back into the coaching profession. He said he did this against the advice of his attorney, Steve Pence.
Now, something that's kind of interesting about this is actually Pitino was given the option before he was fired to resign. So talk a little about that.
Well, the language says now that it will be considered a resignation, but obviously that's how all this started. Louisville called Pitino in, gave him the option to resign, and he wouldn't, so then he was fired. I don't know that this agreement in itself makes it any easier for colleges to go out and hire Rick Pitino, but maybe it does. Maybe there's a job out. Once the lawsuit against you is dropped, maybe we'll consider you. He just wants it over, I think.
The future definitely unknown for him. Now, something you'd mentioned, Rick Pitino said he went against the advice of his lawyer to drop this lawsuit. If he had not, and he'd continued on with this battle, how much longer do you think it could have went, and do you think it could have ended in his favor?
This could have been a long, protracted, ugly situation for years for the university. The presumption is he would have gotten some money. You almost always get some money, but he was racking up legal bills. The university's racking up legal bills. What would be interesting to know is what other conversations there might have been to make all this come about.
Vince Tyree says himself, as well as the entire university, is ready to move on. Rick Pitino says he's ready to move on. We'll see what the future holds for both the university and Rick Pitino. For now, signing off, he's Eric Crawford. I'm Lexi Ratterman for WDRB News.
Lexi and Eric, thank you. Louisville lost one of its legends today. The co-founder of Humana has died. WDRB's Gilbert Coursey shares a legacy of David Jones Sr.
Well, Jones' legacy, Val, goes beyond the health insurance giant of Humana. He is one of Louisville's greatest philanthropists. After co-founding Humana in 1961, years later he created the Humana Foundation, a charitable arm of the company. The organization funds scholarships, programs serving the poor and underserved communities, and health-related grants. Since 1975, Humana and its foundations have given nearly $3 million to community partners. And Jones gave of his own wealth as well. He famously offered $10 million of his own money to get new Ohio River bridges built in 2001. Some called it a public pressure move after the closure of the Sherman-Minton Bridge caused a traffic nightmare. Well, it worked, and we now have two new links tying Kentucky and Indiana. And you may also recall a $15 million donation to develop the parklands of Floyd's Fork back in 2013. It preserved nearly 4,000 acres of land in eastern and southern Louisville that was previously undeveloped. And then just last week, the president of Simmons College of Kentucky explained how a Jones donation changed the course of the school's history.
To demonstrate his confidence in our vision, David and Betty Jones Sr. gave $1 million in 2005, just 2 months into my presidency. As a result of this investment, Simmons became accredited by the United States Department of Education in 2014 and was designated as a historically black college and university in April of 2015.
We need a 6-lane bridge.
Jones was a Louisville native and graduated from Male High School, the University of Louisville, and went on to attend Harvard and Yale. His wife, Betty, died last month. Jones died this morning at the age of 88. Gilbert Coursey, WDRB News.
It'll still be hot today.
Katie McGraw explains when we'll have a break from the heat. I like the sounds of this, Katie.
It's not for a few days, so we still have to deal with this really sticky air. Right now it's still very steamy out there. We're going to be seeing a forecast today of 92 degrees. Just to put in perspective for you, this time of the year as we're inching towards the end of September, average is 81. It is going to be less humid though. You started to notice that yesterday as the dew point started to fall. It's still considered humid, but in comparison to when we're into the upper 60s and 70s, it's not terrible. And just a reminder for you that we are mere days away from the official start of fall, 5 days away. It is September 23rd at about 4 in the morning. And right now we have really nice conditions outside. It's sunny out there, 78 degrees and a dew point of 61. So again, it's on the lower end of that humid category. When you get into the 50s, it's really comfortable. And so it's not that oppressive humidity, but I do think at times you might notice it. We are seeing other temperatures around Kentucky and most of us into the middle and upper 70s, a couple of other lower 80s as well. 81 for Hardinsburg, 81 also for Campbellsville. And you can imagine that we're going to be still seeing pretty dry conditions for today when we're looking at that live picture of downtown. We need some rain. In the midst of that drought, we are going to see no rain today, but there's some slim rain chances in the days to come. So we'll talk about that coming up in just a minute. But first things first, an outlook for what you can expect for your Wednesday. Getting to 92 degrees, so it's still very warm. Sunset before 8 o'clock now at 7:47. And is at that point. We'll discuss when this heat wave looks like it's going to break coming up in just a few.
Katie, thank you. Investigating a double drive-by shooting. LMPD thinks someone driving down the street started shooting at another car, causing the driver of that car to crash. You can see the car flipped on its side there. This happened yesterday on River Park Drive close to I-264. Police say a 25-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman were victims of the drive-by. The man in the car died. Police believe it's because he was shot. The woman was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive.
It appears as if they may have possibly been shot at from another moving vehicle. We don't know that for certain. We don't have any information on what that vehicle may have looked like. So, of course, we would ask if anyone has information to call the crime tip hotline at 574-LMPD.
Right now, police don't have any leads on who may have fired those shots. A southern Indiana judge wants to return to the bench after pleading guilty to a misdemeanor battery charge. Clark Circuit Court Judge Andrew Adams requested the reinstatement. Adams and fellow Clark County Judge Brad Jacobs were shot May 1st while in Indianapolis for a conference. Jacobs has returned to the bench. 2 felony counts that led to Adams' suspension were dismissed under a plea agreement. He received a 1-year suspended sentence.
The Hardin County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding a missing man. They're looking for 28-year-old Stephen Yates. Police are not releasing many details, but say he was reported missing on Sunday. If you've seen him and know where he may be, call the Hardin County Sheriff's Office. Another horse dies at Santa Anita Park in California. It's a 31st thoroughbred that has died since this racing season began in December. Santa Anita says a 4-year-old gelding named Zeke died after a pelvic fracture on the training track on Monday. The chief veterinarian says the track is investigating the death. He says the track will continue to work with the California Horse Racing Board and promise to be transparent with the public.
A drone delivery of explosives.
It rained nails. They came out of the sky.
A man is accused of targeting his ex-girlfriend from the sky. The explosions rocked the neighborhood. Why he's not in trouble for setting them off. And this isn't a costume party. This guy robbed a bank. The clue police found outside that may help to find him. What's the best way to protect Americans all over the country?
John Lawrence explains a gun legislation Congress is considering.
Gun legislation and lack thereof front and center on the Senate floor.
It's not okay. The time for and I is over.
In February, the House of Representatives passed H.R. 8, a bill that calls for background checks on nearly all U.S. firearms sales.
There is no single reform that can prevent every shooting. But we know there are big gaps in our gun laws that make it easy for felons, abusers, and mentally unstable people to get their hands on guns.
And now Democratic senators are calling on Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to take action. However,
I've said repeatedly that we need some guidance from the president about what kind of proposal that would make a difference he would actually sign into law.
there are no federally mandated background checks for private gun sales. Attorney General William Barr has suggested that President Trump should consider expanded checks, according to a U.S. official briefed on the matter. In the meantime, members of both parties are waiting to hear from the president.
I think this is a situation where there'll be another shooting. The pressure to act, I think, gets greater over time.
John Lawrence, WDRB News.
Tropical Depression Imelda could lead to flash flooding in Texas. Forecasters say the Houston area could see the most rainfall from the storm since a devastating Hurricane Harvey in 2017. It's dumping rain over southeastern Texas as isn't expected to let up for at least a couple of days.
Right now what we're expecting is street level flooding. So we encourage people that if they don't need to be out on the streets to please stay home.
Last few times that it's flooded, I've been out here working in this stuff, and it's pretty dangerous. I've seen some really dangerous stuff happen.
Imelda prompted a flash flood watch for more than 7 million people. Some systems canceled all activities for today. A Pennsylvania man is accused of using a drone to drop explosives on his ex-girlfriend's property.
A neighbor's surveillance cameras captured one of several explosions that rocked the neighborhood this spring and summer. Prosecutors now say that Jason Muzzicato was dropping them from a drone.
And the one day I was right around here in the driveway doing something. All of a sudden, I heard them. It rained nails. They came out of the sky. They dropped down from the sky. Nobody was around. Nobody went by and threw them. They dropped from the sky.
How scary is that? Muzzicato isn't charged with detonating explosives, but is charged with operating an aircraft without registration and illegally having weapons. Investigators say they found improvised explosives and 9 guns when they raided his home. An Australian hiker with a broken leg crawls for 2 days before being rescued. Experienced hiker Neil Parker fell down a waterfall on Sunday. He was rescued yesterday by Queensland Government Air Rescue. Parker says it took 2 days to go less than 2 miles while crawling.
And I knew where I was located. There was no way that they were going to be able to find me. So I chose to go back to the junction where I had my first break, because at that junction point there's a track across the bottom that the locals use for exercise. So I figured I've got more chance of being found if I can make my way back to there.
It's amazing he's able to tell the story. He was flown to a hospital and is now recovering. A mummy on the loose, and now the FBI needs your help.
The FBI is trying to catch this bank robber nicknamed Mummy Marauder. By looking at this picture, you can see how he got his name. His face is covered with white gauze, and he also wore a wig and a baseball cap. This photo shows him robbing a bank near Houston, Texas on Friday. The feds say he took off in a Mitsubishi SUV. A $5,000 reward is up for grabs for information leading to his arrest. If he's still wearing that, it'll be easy to find him.
Yeah, you would think so. You'd think people would notice right when he walks into the bank, too, and call the police.
Yep. It's a serious problem killing Kentuckians on a regular basis.
The ranking that has a major railroad company going door to door in Louisville.
Our dry spell continues. We're now on the 23rd day. We're going to talk about when we have the best chance to see some rain coming up.
VisionWorks, doctors of optometry.
Every day I'm turning the sprinkler system on because it's so dry out there.
It really is. We had a bit of rain this week, but it wasn't a drought stopper. And right now what we're seeing across the area is blue skies. It's nice to see, but in the midst of a drought, we definitely could use some more rain. And we did see the dew point drop a little bit in the last 2 days, so it feels pretty comfortable out there, although it's still going to be a hot one. Right now at 11:51, we have temperatures into the upper 70s for the most part, and a couple of 80s as well. And on our Muggy meter, it's on the lower end of the spectrum of the humid category, getting close to comfortable. And over the next few days, it's not going to be that humid, although it's still going to be rather toasty. What we're seeing right now, satellite and radar, whole lot of nothing. Closest to us, way off into the north and east, into the into Iowa. For us, our rain chances are so slim. We're still in this moderate drought, dry spell. Again, these numbers are for the airport. There have been a few areas of rain over the last several weeks. So at the airport, 23 days, and we have not seen any rain there for September. And I do think it just shows an example of what's going on in other areas, because I'm sure the airport is not alone in seeing no rain for this period of time, or maybe even longer. That does put us at over an inch of rain, getting closer to 2 inches below average for September, and the longest dry spell we've ever had is 39 days. Now that system that's up to the north and east is going to give us a slim chance for some rain. Only another 10% chance. So if we track it out here, we look throughout the course of today, we stay dry as we're in between two systems. It's not until it gets a little bit closer to us tomorrow and Friday that we'll have that very small rain chance. Looks like we could have some tomorrow and also on Friday. But again, I don't think this is going to be enough rain to be a drought stopper. It's still hot. 92 degrees, a northeasterly wind about 5-10 miles per hour. And tonight we'll have a few clouds around 71 degrees, a bit warmer than what we were this morning and yesterday. Now when we get into the weekend, we're still pretty dry, but notice the best chance for some rain will be happening as we get into Monday. Let's hope that we can actually get some of this rain, and not only that, it looks like it's going, that system that's moving through, giving us a decent shot for some showers and storms, at least at this point, is going to put a stop to the heat wave. So right now, these next few days, very similar, kind of copy and paste, 92 degrees, a spotty storm here or there. We'll talk a little bit more about that rain chance for the first day of fall and how temperatures will drop after that coming up.
Looking forward. Graduating from college debt-free doesn't have to just be a dream. The company offering students a free way into the healthcare field.
Drugs, prostitution, and an all-around hotspot for crime. The blighted Crest Motel is turned into this. We'll show you the transformation into the Clarksville lofts.
This motel was a hotspot for crime for years. Police even discovered a meth lab in a bathroom here in 2012. Now it's being turned into upscale apartments. WDRB's Jessica Bard shows us a transformation from the inside out.
I've done a lot of stories about property transformation over the years, and I'll admit I'm pretty shocked at how nice these apartments have turned out. They're clean, they're modern, and they even smell good. These are called the Clarksville lofts.
We have turned it into 40 one-bedroom apartments.
Stainless steel kitchen appliances, top-of-the-line countertops and floors.
We redid everything inside.
The whole building was stripped down to the studs.
This was the Crest Motel.
The rundown motel had a reputation with Clarksville police, just across from adult bookstore Theater X. This video was taken the morning 3 people were arrested for cooking meth in a bathroom in 2012.
It was a unique restoration project.
But from crime hotspot
to breezy oasis.
We have a pool, we have a pet park, we have a clubhouse that has a game room. We also offer free cable and Wi-Fi, so that's included in your rent.
They're upscale apartments at an affordable price. The classic one-bedroom starts at $700 a month. The one-bedroom plus has more space. Walk-in closet. That starts at $775 a month. Leasing started in June, and they're already nearly halfway full.
They kind of sell themselves because they are really very beautiful on the inside.
At first, this was not well received by the town of Clarksville.
Neighbors had voiced concerns with parking and not enough sidewalks. The project's finished. The building's gone for life. WDRB News.
YMCA's want to know about teens, and you are live.
Nominations are now open for the YMCA of Greater Louisville's 2019 Youth Character Awards. These awards recognize high schoolers ages 13 to 17 who are exceptional volunteers, students, and more. Nominations are due Friday. The awards will be presented on Thursday, November 7th at the Each award winner also received a $1,500 scholarship.
All right, here's what's trending on WDRB.com. Hometown Rising concert goers were not happy with rapid price changes last weekend. But festival organizers say lower prices help their bottom line.
Kentucky State Police is investigating a former Bullitt East teacher accused of unlawful sexual contact with a former student, where the teacher is banned from going. And foul play is not ruled out in a brief disappearance of a 4-year-old girl in West Louisville, what police are asking for in the Russell neighborhood.
Those are just some of the stories you can check out on our website. Stay with us for today's top stories. WDRB News at Noon starts now.